This episode is brought to you by Squarespace, the all-in-one platform that makes it fast and easy to build your own professional website, portfolio, or online store. You can go to squarespace.com and use the offer code THUMBS for 10% off your first purchase.
Fur Cry 4. A Sonic the Hedgehog
Dude,
tale.
it totally is Fur Cry 4. The fur tech in Far Cry is so good.
All right.
Okay, so Far Cry more like Fur Cry.
It's.
December 3rd, 2014.
This is Idle Thumbs 187. I'm Chris Remo.
I'm Sean Vanneman.
I'm Jake Rodkin.
And I'm Nick Brecken.
Hi, Nick.
There we go.
Hey.
Got that.
Got that and back in there. What you like? What I like is when we talk about the opening of the episode and the opening of the episode.
It is so much more like Fur Cry than Far Cry. The Fur Tech, Nick.
The Fur Tech.
What did
No
you think?
love
It's there.
for Fur Cry 4.
No love for Cry.
No love for Cry.
No
He
love
said
Cry.
furtively.
4.
That's the most remarkable thing about this game, to me, in
Yeah.
terms of achievement.
Like
I'm playing it on low quality, so I can't see any of it.
It looks like Far Cry 2 to me.
So is this fur like? Are we talking like Monsters Incorporated? Or are we talking about like more like Star Fox Adventures game?
No. It is.
Does it like blow in the wind? Do you see like just a beautiful, majestic beast, and then like a breeze whips up?
When you said, I'm so conditioned to be in this industry that when you said blow in the wind, I just imagined Jonathan Blow standing stoically in a field.
Jonathan Blow doesn't have hair. He's not like Far Cry 4 tech does not apply.
more like Far Cry 3.
It's true.
Far Cry 4 head. I'm a bald guy. I can say it.
You can't. You can't.
You did.
What? That's like the sweat gleam.
I know. I'm
just
more
like
mad at you for this Far Cry 4 head.
bruises and like old man band-aids. It takes a lot of work to make this look accurate, to make this disgusting mess.
Polish this dome.
I'm sorry that I said Far Cry 4 head.
It's okay. Your forehead's wound is healed.
It's gone now.
You heal incredibly fast. You heal the fastest.
It's one of my.
All
It's
of
one
us.
of my talents.
talents.
Yeah,
You practice it.
I probably do. Maybe I do by injuring myself so often. Like maybe.
Did I tell you? I must have told this to you, Jake.
Did I tell you about my talents?
No.
Not my
The
talent?
day after you smashed your head into a tree, literally the day after you smashed your head into a tree while walking home,
While texting on your phone.
while texting on your phone, then, like exactly 24 hours later, I was walking home and I was a block away from my house, and a guy on the other side of the
Were you on your phone?
Of course.
probably I don't
Okay.
but a guy on the other side of the street started rapping about me freestyle. Like I was carrying a grocery bag and like a book in my left hand, and I don't like he just started just out of nowhere. I hear like this distant voice from the other side of the street that was like, guy walking down the street, got a grocery bag, got a book on his arm. And I'm like, what the hell? And I crane my entire neck around. Like this is such a surprising incident. I craned my entire neck around and just got smashed in the head with a tree.
Did he rap about that? Guy, guy on his phone hits himself in the head.
No, because by the time I was like looking at him, he was already well past his like
Right.
180 degree like
He'd moved on to like the fire hydrant.
Yeah.
The woman with the Pomeranian.
Yeah.
He'd moved.
yeah.
That is his talent, not the rapping part, but somehow just leaving destroyed snake.
It's
There's just a pit
It's like
full
his
of-
hero's power.
Right.
Where as he walks around rapping about things, they just burst into flame or
Right.
crumble or explode.
But you said the tree branch like ripped your con.
It
You
did.
had a scratch
Yes,
across your face.
I know. It looked like I got mauled by
It
an
looked like
animal
a
in Far
large
Cry
cat
4.
that went like-
and I had basically a huge
Remember that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
That tree stole your contact.
Yeah, it ripped my contact out, which is terrifying to think about. Because if I was not wearing a contact, would that
would have
just
been
have like
killed.
ripped up my cornea or whatever?
It's like a bike helmet for your eye.
That's what they do. That's what they tell you to get them.
But I
No, I guess the answer to that
okay, son.
if I weren't wearing my
protect your
contacts,
noggin.
I would have been wearing my glasses, in which case I would have been less injured. So maybe
Right. But no, you did tell me about
Would have
this.
been guys stumbling down the street, can't figure out which way he goes. Walking in the street because he's probably blind. Mr. Magoo over there with the brown hair.
Yeah, you did tell me about that because I noticed all the scrapes on your face, and it was like a day after.
Yeah,
it was the day after that, and you told me, and then I said, "You can't tell anyone this."
Yes, you did say that.
If you want to have any respect left in the office, because I got a bunch of shit, predictably and deservedly, for walking into a tree while being on my phone. So you could not come in the next day and be like, "I also had my phone and ran into a tree." Like that was not, but then you're like, "No, there was a guy rapping about me." Like that doesn't hold any water if you just come in and say anything about it.
But now I've told everybody.
But yeah, but it's enough time. We're both healed,
Yeah.
physically and
All wounds
emotionally.
heal.
Yeah.
Time heals all wounds. Heals Jake's wounds faster, though. Less time heals Jake's
Yeah.
wounds.
Now I just have like a teardrop scar under my right eye.
Get that tattooed.
That's appropriate for episode 187, don't you think?
God, you're the worst.
I'm the worst.
Yeah.
Far Cry 4 head over here, and I'm the worst. All right, fair enough. The fur tech, though, is so good.
It's pretty good.
That yak? Did you
Haven't
see
seen
that
the yak yet.
Oh, it's majestic. The fur is so good. You just want to touch it.
I can imagine
do.
a yak's fur being majestic.
It's incredibly majestic.
So okay, but did the
But
yak
it's more
then
than
like get picked
to
up?
answer your question, it's more Monsters Incorporated than
Did it get like picked up by an osprey who then like threw it into a farm of monkeys and stuff? Because that's what happens in Far Cry 4, I think.
Yeah, that
And
shit
knocks over an
happens.
explosive barrel.
Yeah.
Right.
I mean, it's a Dadaist zoological sandbox. It's of violence.
Far Cry
In what
4 is
way is
actually
that?
it's the island of Dr. Moreau.
No, except all the animals aren't like they're not like
No, they're just
they're not
animals.
taped together.
Yeah, I mean, they're just...
Oh, so it's
No,
first
yeah.
Castle was a reality show then. It's like
Yeah, it's
Xanadu.
nuts. You're in like a
Jumanji.
It's Jumanji.
Jumanji?
It is fucking Jumanji.
Yeah.
Like
Yeah,
it's Jumanji.
You're Robin Williams.
You gotta stop saying that unless you're winning the game. What's the rule of that?
Yeah, right. Yeah.
I don't remember the rules of Jumanji. Because we're beset by colonial hunters or whatever happens. I don't think that's
an army of baboons.
Something like that.
Yeah.
It's close enough.
What year is it?
Well, the protagonist,
it is.
essentially says things like that, though, in this game.
He says, what year is it?
That's not what Rob Williams comes screaming in.
Yeah.
That's what his
Is
memes
that is the Jumanji part? What is Dadaist about it? What did you mean when you said that?
It's just nonsense.
It's
just
absolute
fucking crazy.
craziness, yeah.
Oh.
There's
yeah.
it's
Oh, God, it's so... It is really
there are
strange.
systemic narratives by virtue of your brain's ability to produce meaning from disparate events happening in
Yeah,
sequence.
Sure.
But it's not like a story, except, because it's so crazy.
Right.
Yeah.
Like the systems in Far Cry 2, I'm going to skip over Far Cry 3 because Far Cry 3 just feels like the lily pad to Far Cry 4.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
Because Far Cry 3 is just like too mired in like thematic bullshit to really like dig into, I think. We already have a year ago. But if you look at how the systems in Far Cry 2 are all incredibly extreme, like to the point where like fire propagation before they brought it back, like killed the final boss.
Right, whatever, all that
they're
stuff.
all very powerful systems, but they are thematically restraint. There's restraint in all of them. It's not like a herd of zebras gets like pushed by the fire and tramples through a village and kills all these
Well, the
people.
density wasn't what it is now in this series.
It just feels like
there's a density.
zoo.
Yeah, there's a density
so
that's
many
just...
animals.
And
Yeah.
Nick, you were telling me you killed more dogs. You killed like what? Lots
Oh,
of
man.
dogs.
Yeah, it's just... The first
Nick,
hour
you're
of this
telling me you
game is...
sought out and killed dogs?
Nick, you're telling me you resolved to only kill dogs?
How many dogs do you think you could beat up?
You killed a lot of dogs.
In life or in Far Cry 4?
I mean, in Far Cry 4... You kill a lot of dogs in this game, though.
Yeah.
And you skin them.
Well,
It's one of those. It's one of those like
you didn't
Indiana
mention
Jones
it.
2 games where you
mention
just
that you
stick your
killed the
hand
wolves.
in the chest and just there's blood everywhere.
Yeah,
do you mean?
it's
It's
really
really-
funny. It says
Temple
skin
of
the
Doom,
animal.
not-
The temple, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
It says like skin the animal.
Yeah.
And
Skin
then
your guy, skin the animal, and he just
guy
goes
sticks
in
a knife
for.
in his gut.
Yeah.
Moves it probably 8 inches, and then pulls out what
Well, that
looks to be
happens in Far Cry 3.
pulls out what looks to be a spleen.
Yeah.
and then it just like leaves the carcass.
And then you can throw spleens at guys.
An animal, create purse out of animal, remove organs,
and then he just sort of
discard
pockets
purse.
the organ.
Yeah, you can throw the organs to distract enemies.
It's food
Yeah.
or whatever. You can like lure
This
beasts.
sounds fine.
You can lure beasts with it.
Yeah.
But the thing that was crazy for me is that, so again, Far Cry 2, it's the African savannah or whatever. And so there are like zebras in kudu and whatever, you know. Now I'm in what is ostensibly Tibet or eastern China mountains. And I was on a four-wheeler, Ollie and I were playing on a four-wheeler and have the very classic Far Cry experience of, oh no, I've just ridden through a local uprising and I ran over a guy, and now from screen right comes barreling in a...
It's like a Humvee or something.
No, like a Tacoma, but with a railgun on the back.
Right,
You know
yeah,
what I mean?
yeah.
And I was like, oh, fuck! And bail off the RV, stand up,
That sounds
put,
like Far Cry
two
to me.
bullets, two like AK bullets into the truck, and then immediately from screen right, a rhinoceros just flips the truck into a river.
Yeah.
And the rhino's just standing there, and I'm like, my grievance is not with you, Rhino. But also, why are you here? Like where? Because in my brain, I'm like, okay, what are the sorts of animals that are allowed to live in this biome? Rhinos don't live in the mountains.
Yeah.
Rhinos don't live in like
They don't
in
climb
Tibet.
mountains.
No, they're not. They're
They
not.
might live in the lowlands,
They
but they
are
don't.
mountains.
Yeah.
They don't. They're not so good with climbing.
Yeah.
So that's just crazy to me. Like, it's just so much wildlife
Yeah.
existing. It's all systemic, and I mean, some of it feels like every once in a while there's like an AI director.
Yeah.
But, and, you know, there's fun moments like that where Ollie and I were like traversing down, we're on foot and coming down a hill, and we hear like like gunshots in the air. And recently we had just liberated an outpost or whatever, a village, and then the group of people that you're friendly with like was really stoked that we had done that, and we're like shooting into the air like, wow. And I was like, whoa, why are there gunshots? I thought we cleared this. Oh wait, no, they're just celebrating. Oh cool, crazy. So then we come down this hill maybe a minute later, and there's just two other like NPCs down there who are dressed in garb that we know they're friends, allied garb, and they're just like shooting into the air. And it's like, oh, they're celebrating. And then you start, and you realize we're shooting at a fucking like condor.
Oh, yeah.
That just like
That happened to me, too.
attacked us. Like, they just like, we looked to the right and it's like, oh no! And like it was on our faces, and they came over and shot at it and stuff like that.
Yeah.
But it doesn't, it's fun. But I mean, there is a co-op mode that takes all the story stuff out and you just run around in this, which is, we didn't play, but that's what I want to play because the
I'll play that with
insanity,
someone.
the zoological insanity that is this game doesn't feel like I can experience. I can't get myself there. I can't get myself to like, oh no, I'm experiencing a serious story.
Yeah.
I'm not meaning to make 100% parody here, but like in Far Cry 2, seeing animals at all was always sort of like a beautiful, rare moment, whereas this seems like all of the emergent stories
Well, they're also
are
very-
people collide with animals.
So the
and
first time you
hilarious
see an
shit
elephant in
happens.
this
The animals-
game,
Sorry, go ahead.
the first time you see an element in this game, it's
An element?
an elephant.
An elemental spirit?
An elemental elephant. It's standing outside of an outpost, and the gates are closed, and it's just pointed towards the inside of the outpost.
Right, so the elephant is
So-
implicitly shoot me in the butt, basically?
Yeah.
and you shoot it in the butt, and it
It is
kills
the marble
everyone.
you knock off the thing in
yeah,
a
yeah,
in a
exactly.
mousetrap.
Yeah, and a lot of the encounters feel like that to me.
Yeah,
where it's
I completely
just-
agree. Like,
There's always just an elephant butt. Like, okay,
Yeah, there's always an elephant
That's like
butt.
the visual language of Far Cry 4 is like if the
There is
elephant
though.
is facing
There's always a
you.
lighthouse
Why
and an
are these
elephant
two guys
butt.
hanging out with a tiger and a pen for no reason? Yeah. Like, what are they doing?
Yeah.
Like, who put them?
Do they have dialogue if you get really close? Like, I don't know, we got this tiger out here, like wacky barks.
But this tiger would totally fuck us up if somebody opened this pen.
Sure hope they don't.
Yeah.
or if someone did anything interesting to the space that we occupy. If a coconut was thrown here or one of us blew up, you know.
Yeah.
Sure hope no one tips off my Rube Goldberg machine I've been building in my space. Jake,
it's Goldblum's paradise.
One other anecdote.
okay, go ahead.
Oh, so the problem is like it's hard to take any of it seriously. Like Ollie stole an elephant or got the ability to ride elephants, which is pretty fucking cool. And then stormed into like occupied territory on the elephant, killed everyone from the elephant's back, shooting and stomping through all of them. But their alarm, they never set off their like alarm because he just got lucky and killed the people in the right order.
And then he had a silent strike on an elephant. All right,
the stealth achievement called Lightfoot or something like that. It was like soft
was like
foot.
physically inaccurate.
Yeah, he was literally on an animal that weighs 6 tons. It was so good.
That's pretty good.
But
I was going to say, Jake, when you were comparing the sort of animal model to Far Cry 2, I think one difference is that the animals in Far Cry 2 don't actually have any meaningful agency. They're basically props.
Right,
basically
but they have physics. You could run into a zebra and fuck your shit up.
No, but they don't though, because when you run into a zebra in Far Cry 2, aren't they as though they're just rooted into the ground?
No,
as I recall.
You can't kill them.
So.
I know you can't kill them.
But I know they can if you're trying to get away from somebody, they can cause you trouble.
They can cause you trouble, but they don't.
Yeah.
They're not part of the
It's
world
like a tree
in
stump
the same way
through,
that it sounds like you're describing.
That's why I didn't mean to make a mechanical equivalency between Far Cry 2
I know you
and 4,
weren't. I wasn't saying you're making equivalency. I'm making the comparison.
It's the use of animals is obviously incredibly different, but it creates a world that is just obviously insane by default. Like the rules of this game just allow for it to be hilarious.
I don't know. Tell me, either of you guys, if there's anything to this. One of the things that was interesting to me about Shadow of Mordor when I played it, I mean, I enjoyed the game, like a fair amount. I didn't, not enough to play through the entire thing because I kind of felt like I got it after a while. But the underlying systems, the rivals, what was it called? Does anyone remember? Whatever.
Yeah.
Then we know what you mean.
Pug the Unclan.
Yes, exactly. The Nemesis system, I guess it is.
Yeah.
That controls the orc lieutenants and all this stuff. Felt like a really potent kind of overall underpinning that this developer, in this case Monolith, could apply to like other ideas because apparently that game was
the Nemesis idea could be in not a Middle Earth Shadow of Mordor.
Yeah, because apparently that game was already supposed to be something else.
Batman?
Yeah, it was apparently originally
Batman pitch or
a
something?
Batman pitch that got changed to the Lord of the Rings license, or Middle Earth license, I guess technically. But I like hearing you describe this game. One of the weird things about the Far Cry series is that it's such at this point so like not a series, right? It's just like some games that take place in outside.
Right.
Well, it's a hodgepodge of different
It's a total hodgepodge
mechanics.
across the course of the series. And I wonder if any of the stuff in this feels like it could be fruitful in an environment where they just sort of started over without all this like franchise baggage. Because I mean,
You mean just underlying tech?
yeah, with like just
hunting
the
simulator.
I don't know, like the sort of
It's sort of what it is.
Kinda. It does feel that way. Except it's not
you're
sophisticated, right?
No.
Like I just chased an elk, and I don't know if it's worth it in terms of time, but I do kind of want to. We were talking about it yesterday, getting back into some of the issues of representation in the game, like vis-a-vis like the nonsense that is the game.
Before you do that, I want to say something about last week's episode, maybe just for the benefit of the audience, because last week was one of the episodes that I felt we kind of failed. Like, at least I personally don't feel like we did a great job communicating the points we were individually trying to make about representation, and I'm wary of picking up a conversation now where we left off with that. If there's a way that you can like succinctly start from ground zero and just make a cogent point based on what you played, and then
for sure,
and then call it a day.
The thing that I realized that really bothers me about actually Far Cry 2 as well. But I think Far Cry 2 did a better job of this. But the Far Cry series, I had never played Far Cry 1, but 2, 3, and 4 is the sort of... There's now a brand trademark of a Far Cry game of going to an exotic place, and no matter what, there are political happenings at goings on, and you are embroiled in a tribal or sectarian or civil war.
Yeah.
And you are given your side that you're supposed to back. And then narratively, if you start to go deeper into like what are like the deep sociological, historical reasons for this uprising, they're paper thin. Like the thing that's interesting at all about trying to tackle something like that in a fictional text is the sort of ultimate understanding that conflicts, whether they be, you know, like we talked about this War of Mine, something that happens like in Bosnia, or, you know, there's in tons of like this location, like Tibet is a fantastic location for something for themes like this. Like you need to go so deep. It needs to be so steep
To do
in,
justice
like,
to that, you mean.
Yeah, and it needs to be confusing and complex and not black and white. And I feel like Far Cry 2, at least you could sort of like
Well, Far Cry 2, almost the thing that's under the surface is just intractability.
Right.
The argument is that the side you pick is irrelevant. And like
right, and they're both incredibly violent.
the argument that sort of everything is like equally morally gray, I think is also kind of like a little bit thin.
Right.
But I do think it's somewhat more honest. But like
It's still a shortcut, right?
I don't know if it holds up under like extensive examination,
But
it does feel smarter.
Yeah.
To me. It actually makes me want to like bounce for like 3 years and go back to school and then write a thesis about the Far Cry series, because that is actually where I think there is an interesting argument in that going from Far Cry 2 to Far Cry 3 is like a hard tonal divorce, a thematic divorce, like a completely new studio, essentially completely new brand, like attributes to what a Far Cry game is, different style, everything is thrown out the window. But not the name, you know, and not the fact that it's a first person open world shooter. And I think you have to look at Far Cry 4 as a response to Far Cry 3. Like, you're no longer this like touristy white protagonist who's here to like just, you know, be with his friends.
Which feels like it was a callback to Far Cry 1, because you're like your Hawaiian shirt guy who gets in a boat wreck with his girlfriend, but then like there's mutants and stuff. Or I think,
Yeah,
right?
so-
Aren't there? There's like crazy crap in
Sure,
Far Cry,
yeah.
whatever. Maybe
So then-
is that Crisis? Anyway,
It
whatever.
just feels like Far Cry 4 was
No,
like, well,
it's
no,
Far Cry.
like we're gonna like the character Amita, who is your like that Danielle mentioned last week, who is sort of your like cohort who sends you on missions and is sort of the leader of the group that you're allied with, is a much better character than anybody who's represented in Far Cry 3. They all feel like a response to Far Cry 3, Far Cry 4, but I don't think it's successful. Like, it still has massive issues of just you go have fun in this exotic, real but not real place with a real but not real conflict.
There are moments of satire that feel like satire, that they feel like they were written from a standpoint of satire. And I feel like there are moments that are just inconsistent with the rest of, you know, what that could be. I don't know. Anyway.
I agree.
the next one could be called. What if the next one's called The Far Cry and it's perfect?
That's fine. That'd be great. Clint Hocking comes back. Fucking awesome.
Clint Hawking's The Far Cry. I would
Clint Hawking's a
Day
Far Cry.
one perch.
Yeah.
Day one.
I hope
Are you
he doesn't
kidding
do
me?
that.
I think we can rest assured he will not.
He will not.
Midnight launch. I would be there with a shirt that I had made that had Clint's face on it.
You just wear a mask of Clint's face. You would just make that face that you made in that one photo I took that looked exactly like him. Yeah.
I would just, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh!
That was the ghost of Far Cry 4 leaving Sean. You're no longer possessed.
Sean, I played a bunch of Crossy Road this past week because I was out of town.
I have a lot of thoughts about Crossy Road.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
I
what do you think?
I have long eclipsed your score at this point. It's gross.
What are you at?
Oh, wait, what? You're good at Crossy Road? I would never have guessed that you can just get into some sort of state that makes you
Eclipse, it
destroy Crossy
I mean,
Road.
I'm not at the top of my own personal friends list or anything, so it's not as though it's out of control.
So
here.
that was a kind of backhanded thing to say, right? It's like I've long eclipsed you.
No, but
my
yeah,
acquaintances make you
but
look insignificant.
But it looks like you haven't been playing all that much recently.
You want to know my actual iOS behavior?
Sure.
Let's say I'm sitting somewhere and have some time to kill. Mm-hmm. I open Crossy Road.
Yeah.
and I play 2 Crossy Roads
Right.
and die.
Two Crossy's Road.
2 Crossy's Road. And I go to play again, and I go, oh, no, let me play something else. I'm like, you know what? I'm kind of back into 3s. I play 1 3s and go, nope, I can't get into this. And then I do a crossword.
Yeah.
And then I'm like, okay, that was 40 minutes. I have to move on. That's my entire iOS experience right now.
I have re-deleted 3s because of my concern about playing it.
You can record your Crossy Road?
Yeah, I noticed that, and I never do it.
For 99 cents, I bought the Crossy Road character, the Dark Lord.
Uh-huh.
And it turns the entire level into just a burning hellscape. And it's incredible.
Man.
Yeah.
Maybe I should spend
So,
another
like,
99
that's the
cents on that
thing,
one.
is like,
Didn't you say that Ollie got one?
Ollie got a Frankenstein that kind of vignettes the entire world and makes everything black and white, and it's pretty great.
I got
Out of the 50 characters, I've only discovered these 2 that have aesthetic changes on the world.
Oh, my ghost
there are-
haunted it. For sure. Everything's
Oh,
black.
you got that ghost?
Everything's dark, and then the ghost emits light, so it sort of casts
that's
shadows and
awesome.
stuff. Yeah, that's good.
I have a robot that shoots cars sometimes.
That's
just
fucking
randomly.
cool.
They
I have a
say-
basketball player, and I have a baseball player that hits home runs sometimes. It's so good.
It's dumb, but
I unlocked those. I've only paid for
when
the
it comes to
Dark
games that have unlocks. That like this is kind of my favorite kind of cosmetic unlock. The
Yeah, of
kind
course.
that just makes the game just aesthetically different in a way that is totally non-damaging and is hilarious.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So
like,
for the
well-
readers at home, it's worth pointing out. So Crossy Road, we talked last week, is this like endless Frogger that is obviously in its name and in its design a little bit inspired by Flappy Bird, but it's a very all its own game in a really simplistic, beautiful kind of cubic art style, and the game is free on at least on iOS. I don't know if I don't think it's on Android yet, and you can spend like 99 cents to unlock one of like it seems like 50
Yeah, about
or
50
more
50
sort of like
characters, I think,
protagonist skins or like
or you
main character
can
skins.
unlock them with like coins that you get in game that take, as
Yeah.
with most of these games, a long time to collect.
As you accrue coins,
Yeah.
you kind of like pull a lever and a box comes out and you get one of the 50 skins at random. So those, like if that was the sole monetization scheme in the game, I think that would be pretty great.
Isn't it?
No, because you can like watch ads for coins and shit
Oh,
like
right.
that.
Yes,
That's
yes.
stuff I don't find to be particularly like that's the stuff that like really I butt up against in terms of recommending the game because I just just cut that stuff out.
I have
Even
a
though I'm sure,
vampire. Is this what the Dark Lord one looks like?
yeah, except it's
It's
literally
like black.
on fire.
Oh.
No,
Because this vampire character, just every 10 seconds or so, he just turns into a bat for 5 seconds and then turns back into a... Oh, wow. Turns back
and
into a vampire.
as you pass stuff, it catches fire. I talked to Zach Johnson, who does Video Games Hot Dog, which is a podcast you guys should listen to. And what I realized is that when I reframed it in my brain as a pay what you want model, except it's like it shows me all the denominations between 1 and 100
Yeah.
in front of
Right.
me, then I kind of appreciated it because I could actually just give the developer money commensurate with my fun of the game.
Yeah,
Where it's like, I'm really enjoying this. I haven't given this guy $1 in a while, and he's and I'm not just dumping it into a tip jar. I'm getting a cool, like, basically a reskinning of the avatar, and possibly because you don't really know. There's no language inside of the game readers that like tells you, oh, if you buy, this ghost avatar that changes the chicken or the bird that it starts with to a ghost, that it's going to reskin the entire game. You don't know that. It's sort of a surprise.
and that is a cute thing. Like that is.
And I think it's
fun.
value. I think it has value because it's entertaining when that happens.
Yeah.
And like it's fun to like switch to that character or put it on random and become that and like that have that character be rolled when you go to play.
Yeah.
So when I thought of it that way, I actually like appreciated it a lot more for some reason. Like I
fair.
just sort of thought like, oh, I can give this guy as much money as I want or 0, and other than accidentally getting like sent into an ad to earn 25 coins. That's the thing where I'm like, oh man,
I thought it was 35 coins.
Whatever.
It's
I've
some
watched
coins.
a couple of those ads.
I thought it was 35 coins, says man who knows it's 35 coins.
Maybe I wanted to unlock that old man. I talked about him last week. He's confused.
But in terms of monetization schemes, I find that like if this was a successful baseline for other free-to-play games on the App Store, I would probably be okay with that because every
Yeah,
time
that's
the
fair.
developer wants to make money in this game, they actually have to offer a entertaining, creative product as opposed to building in like gears that grind to a halt.
Well, that's true.
You know what I mean? And I think that's kind of cool. Fair enough.
You guys want to take a break?
Fuck no, but I guess we will.
Video game. This episode of Idle Thumbs is brought to you by Squarespace, an excellent platform where you can make an online website, portfolio, store. It's super easy to use. If you go to squarespace.com and use the promo code THUMBS, you get 10% off your first order.
Yesterday, I logged on to Squarespace because I wanted to build a private website.
Ooh, private
But, like, I
website.
wanted to build a website for just the Firewatch concept art. And I was like, oh, you know what? I could probably use Squarespace's portfolio function. And then I got into, like, just looking at the templates and, like, screwing around with them. And it instantly looked beautiful with pretty much no effort. So it just reminded me that I'm glad they're a sponsor, and you should totally check them out if you need to build a website.
They also they've got Squarespace 7 came out recently and has a bunch of new features, one of which is Google Apps integration if your company uses Google Apps, and another is they partnered with Getty Images, so you have access to a humongous high-quality stock photo library as part of your membership.
And that's incredibly valuable because most of their templates really take
They look
advantage
good with huge
of
photos.
huge high-res photos. So yeah, check them out.
Squarespace.com, promo code THUMBS.
And we'd also like to thank our sponsor, NatureBox. NatureBox is a delicious snack delivery service that will bring tasty treats to your home or office. You can go to naturebox.com/thumbs to get a free NatureBox sampler that has 4 sort of random snacks of their selection and 1 full-size snack if you're choosing for just $2 shipping.
Nick.
And we are among a NatureBox subscriber right now, Nick Brecken, aren't we?
Yeah. I actually just started panicking because I realized I hadn't selected my 5th nature selection for this month.
What are you going for?
What are we looking
So
at?
I hit the what's new this month, and I found the apple cinnamon crave, which I feel like
Oh my goodness.
You gotta get that. You gotta get the Crave.
I might
Wait, is
might
it
need to
what
get
is
that
it?
crave.
What is it? Sorry, they're verbing. They're nouning that verb, so I must know what a crave is because it doesn't have mass in the universe that I occupy.
Some situations were made for savory snacks. Sometimes only a sweet snack will do. But when you crave both, you can't go wrong with apple cinnamon crave.
That still doesn't really explain much, but I assume it to be
That sounds like a
delicious.
pill that puts me to sleep. But go on, go on.
Roasted peanuts, apple bits.
Okay, there we go.
No,
It looks loose. It looks loose. It's a mix.
It's more of a Gorp.
Yeah,
It's
it's
a
more of a.
mix. Okay, yeah.
It's a light mix.
Okay,
It's like a Gorp Crave.
Yeah.
so if
That's
you,
what
if
it
you,
is.
if you yourself would
If you
love
would
some
like a Gorp crave.
you can go to naturebox.com/thumbs and get a free Gorp crave for just the low price, the discounted price of shipping.
$2.
Thanks, NatureBox.
Thanks, NatureBox.
Video game.
Christmas comes a little early. Old Nick Brecken. Stuff those stockings full of crave.
Return of the baboo.
Yeah.
The mutated baboo.
That's not available on NatureBox.
Oh man, I got the mutated baboo in my random sample pack.
For spooky NatureBox around Halloween. Man, why doesn't NatureBox do that?
There's eyeballs.
Right, are these eyeballs? They're all natural. Great. Yeah. Brains? No, it's I don't know what it would be in the case of NatureBox.
What is brains normally?
Probably some
in a
kind of
haunted house?
nom-nom.
I don't know. It's
Banana
like,
brains.
it's usually like just pasta or like something
Yeah.
or like entrails, guts.
Guts is pasta, always.
What, I don't know what a brain
Yeah.
is. Maybe I touched a brain at one of those.
Jello, maybe, and a mold.
Brains is actually just cow
They'd be
brains.
like, oh, that's a guy's brain. I saw a guy's brain once. It was really gross.
How?
What?
In junior high, they took us to the cadaver zone at
Nick is
State
immediately
University.
unimpressed.
It's crazy that they do that shit. That was shit that happened on Saved by the Bell in my universe. You know what I mean? Like if that shit didn't happen.
Yeah.
Where
I didn't do that in my school,
I feel like I talked about this on Idle Thumbs once. I went and we went on a trip to Sonoma State University in some junior high class, and then it was like, oh cool, this is where things from in his history. Anyway, here's just a guy laid out on a table. It's like, wow, that's just a corpse that's just face down. Weird. And then they're like, anyway, here's half a guy's head on a platter. It was sawed down the middle, the nose cut in half, eye, only one eye, half mouth. So you could just see a perfect inside of a head. And then they're like, and here's a brain on a plate. Just a brain, a full brain.
Did you close your eyes and touch it?
No!
Go, ooh, spoon.
But then I went home and dinner was pork chops and it smelled like that guy's head. And I didn't eat pork chops for like 10 years. Thanks, NatureBox. Oh, sorry. That was rude. Yeah, anyway.
Spooky.
So I didn't touch a brain, but I did see a brain once.
You touched a brain with your nostrils.
Yeah, a little bit of brain went into my nose.
That's horrifying.
Yeah, it was fucking weird.
You should not have to see dead bodies.
You should not have to see
Full
half of a face on a plate.
You should not have to see
Probably.
mutilated strangers.
I remember
for school.
I remember because when they presented the half of the guy's face.
What was the tone? Like, what was it like? Hey, kids, check this out.
No, it was
Or
just like,
this
and
is
here is the
solemn?
thing. Here is the thing. I'm a student and I'm desensitized to this, and I'm not realizing that I'm showing a 13-year-old a terrible
Oh, it was
thing.
like, it was like a 21-year-old.
Yeah, it was just like students there who were just showing us this, but it was like, oh, kids are here on a tour. I guess what you want to see is half a head, but
Oh my god!
So your tour guide was just like Dwight from 6 Feet Under.
no, it wasn't the tour guide. It was like, our teacher was just going through places. Then I think this was just like, oh, this got a little weirder than I think what we. I guess this is okay. Whoop. But like.
That's a big permission slip sign from mom.
Yeah, you want your kid to see half a human head? I remember the bisected part of the head looked so much like a science illustration that I didn't really think about it until I was a curious kid and looked underneath and like saw the guy's ear and like ear hair and just went, oh no, it was terrible. It was a weird thing. I had forgotten about it until we talked about NatureBox giving you eyeballs and stuff. Anyway, sorry. That might have been discussed on like episode 25 also.
I think I have a vague memory of this.
Yeah.
That's okay.
Welcome new listeners to me talking about seeing a brain one time.
In this haunted Christmas that we were in.
We're in Haunted Christmas?
Yeah.
We're not even, it's okay, in that we're somewhere between Christmas and Halloween. Mm-hmm. I would describe Thanksgiving as Haunted Christmas generally.
Yeah.
The Haunted Christmas of holidays.
I think this is going to be mainly mailbag, I'm guessing.
Bullshit. Let's stop promising short episodes of mailbag.
No one said short.
Fucking bring gold.
I didn't say short. Please.
He also didn't say it was bad. Some mailbag episodes are sometimes the best episodes.
I agree.
Yeah.
Never have been.
Always have been.
Drunk man.
They
Never. Mailbag. Some of the best things come in bags.
Horses?
Horses, mail. Just think about that and think about Tim
back.
Schafer's name being Mr. Shitface.
This episode goes out to Mr. Shitface.
It's Shitface, right? That's what. Yeah.
Mr. Shitface.
Mr. Shitface, please. Mr. Shitface is my father. Call me Tim Schafer. No, call me Ethics Farm.
Fun with anagrams.
Did you see this?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Good.
Just making sure you saw that cat get hit by a cheese.
Yeah.
It was a really tough afternoon for me of seeing Tim discover that Gamergators have discovered that his name is an anagram for Mr. Shitface, and that then an hour and a half later, this cat getting hit in the face with a slice of cheese. It was a fucking hard afternoon. I don't know how I got through it.
It was a good day, but it was a day where you had to look at the computer screen to work, but the computer screen also contained a cat getting hit in the face by cheese.
Oh, it's so delicious. It's so good. Mr. Shitface is my father. Please call me Ethics Farm.
Call me Ethics Farm.
Video games.
This weekend, I watched Jurassic Park.
I'm sure it was great.
It is great.
I love Jurassic Park. I think Nick loves Jurassic Park more than anyone in this room.
That's not true.
I think it's true.
It might be
If
true.
this couch cushion popped open and Patrick Klepek came out and went, "Ha! Bullshit!" That'd be the best.
That's true.
Yeah. No.
Patrick
I will
Klepek has been
defer
in
to.
this
I will
room the
defer to
entire time. He
Klepek.
popped out of that wardrobe.
He would come from the side.
What is that? What is that?
Patrick Klepek's hunting packs.
Yeah.
God, okay.
Patrick Klepeks. Patrick's in this city right now somewhere.
Oh, yeah, we should hang out.
Not on this podcast.
Should be on this podcast right this second.
Patrick, get over here. You should be. This is unfortunate. Where the fuck is he? Why? 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 Why?
Flames?
Flames, flames. Flames on the side of my face. Flames, flames. Flames.
Oh, my God.
This isn't a gift? Or GIF, I'm sorry. GIF.
This is a phone call.
It's a phone call.
Why aren't you on Idle Thumbs right this second, right now, right here, in this office?
You guys recording tonight? I can't come right now. If you give me a heads up, I could have come.
I know, we should have given you a heads up. You should have just known in your heart of hearts. Nick Breckens thinks he's a bigger Jurassic Park fan than you are.
Ooh. I know he's a big Jurassic Park fan, though.
That's
I
it?
think I'm a bigger fan. That became a babysitting spot for me. I saw it 15 times in that theater. My parents just dropped me off.
Wow, can we put
tapping
that
out.
Can we put that on the podcast that you saw it 15 times in the theater because your parents were neglectful?
Yeah, no shame.
Okay, that's going to go on the
Maybe
podcast.
a little shameful for my parents, but not for me.
Okay.
'Cause we might actually be mid-episode right now, Patrick.
Perfect.
Okay.
Great.
I'm always. I just assume I'm being recorded at all times.
Good. All right. Do you want to be on the cast next week? You want to be on the cast next week?
Oh, I could come next Tuesday.
Perfect.
Okay, I'll text you tomorrow.
Okay, later, bye. Podcast content. Just trying to stress the podcast. Yeah. I wonder what that sounds like.
Bad, probably. So we got some reader mail about our fighting game discussion from last week.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so
Oh,
Charles...
they're all like Dota? Sorry.
What was that, like, weird cat noise?
This is the noise I make when I think about Dota.
You make a Dota noise when you think about Dota.
Is that a lord from Dota?
It sounds like Venomancer or something. Just, yeah.
Probably a lot of them make that.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Anyway, Charles Wheeler... writes-
Hold on, what noise do they make?
I don't think anything does.
I like that when Danielle's in there, she goes, okay, and you just go,
It's this fucking seat, this love seat. Okay.
Charles Wheeler writes, "Hey Thumbs, I'm surprised there haven't been more corrections on the forum about the way revisions are handled in arcade fighting games. Arcade fighting games did have a patch cycle of sorts. In the case of Street Fighter, addition to CE/Super/Turbo, etc. releases, arcade Street Fighter machines did have various different revisions. My understanding is that these revisions within the same title were usually for bug fixes, but some balance changes have been included as well. For instance, the Guile blackout bug, which crashed the machine, was patched out in later revisions of Street Fighter II World Warriors long before Street Fighter II CE was released. MAME lists at least 9 individual revisions of Street Fighter II World Warriors, the vanilla release, reflecting different boards that were exported. There are a fair number of known board revisions which have also not been dumped yet. The biggest difference is that patch notes were not published at that time, so it's very difficult to find detailed information on these. There's scattered anecdotal evidence in interviews that various changes were made, but nobody really logged what exactly each revision did. For a rare specific example, there are revision notes for Darkstalkers 2. Those seem like pretty explicit balance changes, such as changing a knockdown to be a regular attack. The Street Fighter II Turbo HD remix release explicitly supported enabling or disabling some of the known bug fixes, although I don't know if it's known which of them actually saw release in which arcade revisions. From a list that he links, you can see the difficulty in identifying exactly what changes are made. A bounce change might have been changing the percentage chance a specific frame is blockable, or changing the variable range of an input window. When triggering a special move, you need to press the button within so many frames of the joystick motion. But in many versions, instead of a fixed limit, it chooses a random number between X and Z each time you enter the motion. And then he has an E-Honda example. I'm not as into this scene as I used to be, so I could be getting some details wrong, but that's the gist of it.
an example, Honda.
In any case, there being explicit patch notes would still be an obvious difference to the way this is presented to the user and the way it's consumed on a competitive level. So that's one. And then...
Still laughing at example Honda. Sorry.
we got like a dozen emails about this, so I only picked a couple. I obviously not going to read all of them. Nelson Falker writes... Hey Thumbs, wanted to write in after your discussion about Smash and updates for fighting games. Most fighting games have been receiving balance patches and updates for a long time, and developers handle it differently. Places like NetherRealm of Mortal Kombat and Injustice and Iron Galaxy of Killer Instinct release balance patches almost monthly, with Capcom, Street Fighter, Marvel vs., etc., Arc System Works of Guilty Gear and BlazBlue usually waiting upwards of a year to see how the meta and balance shakes out before issuing patches. They've all gotten in the habit of releasing full-on Dota-style patch notes with each update, which caused the community to begin theory crafting and speculating about tier lists. Changes like M. Bison's L double knee press advantage on block reduced by 1 frame cause forum wars and players crying about how their preferred character will be ruined. Smash doing this is not new, but it is maybe new for Nintendo. Cheers, Nelson. And then the last one I'm going to read... This is Lex LaChica, who writes, "Hey, Idle Thumbs. I played both Super Smash Bros. And other fighting games competitively and wanted to chime in super briefly about last week's podcast. Street Fighter 4 does have balance patches, but are usually part of a larger content pack that includes new characters and stages. Most fighting games are like this, likely because they need to have the patches cleared by Xbox Live, PSN, and Steam. As far as I know, Smash 4 is among the first to have the capability for much more frequent patch updates. For comparison, Smash had 4 patches in a month since its release, and Street Fighter 4 has had that many, albeit much larger updates in 4 years. How often Nintendo intends to patch is still up in the air. For me, it's both good and bad that these patches can be so frequent. They get rid of the really broken bits quickly, but I worry Nintendo may not have a pulse on what the competitive players need. They don't even release patch notes. Nintendo has had such a strained relationship with competitive Smash in the past, so it's hard to have much faith in them to provide support now. Do we really trust the people who introduced tripping to fine-tune the balance of a fighting game, especially if they haven't reached out for community feedback about balance changes? I don't agree that Nintendo has fully catered to competitive play. I see it more as a series of concessions to a group they don't fully understand. I get the feeling Nintendo wants to, but ultimately doesn't know how to support a competitive game. Can you imagine if you could watch or host tournaments from the game, or if they made something like what Capcom does with the Capcom Cup, or even just provided patch notes? The steps they have taken are fantastic for competitive play, but there's still a lot of work to be done before Smash is selling out the Staples Center. Probably won't, but hey, dream big, right? Now the question of the email, what, if anything, could get you into a competitive fighting game? Thanks, love the podcast, don't stop being cool, Lex from SoCal. So those were 3, I tried to pick emails that were about kind of different angles on this topic, and I'm sure there's plenty more of interesting details that I didn't get to, but that seemed like an interesting perspective.
The thing that could get me into a competitive fighting game is it being Super Smash Brothers. And the only time that I think I've ever actually watched competitive fighting on a stream is when Smash Brothers showed up at, I guess it was Evo a couple years ago.
Yeah.
And then Nintendo did like a recreational goofy tournament for at E3, and I watched a bunch of that. Like I occasionally actually watch people play competitive Smash Brothers only because it's Super Smash Brothers. So that's a crappy answer to that guy's question. Also, if they had like a hat store, that's the wacky go-to joke about this, right? So that's the other thing.
So Sean and Nick, you're the 2 people on this podcast who I think are the most drawn to competitive multiplayer
You still watch
experiences
Dota,
generally.
No. But I did watch Evo last year, actually. I mean, I think I talked about it on the podcast, but I don't know. For me, it's even with Dota, I just feel like. I mean, the thing that I actually got into regularly watching was StarCraft. And for me, the reason for that was simply that I could follow and understand what the schedule was and what the league was. And, you know, like, it was just had a structure.
That's a really big challenge with me with Dota.
Yeah.
Like,
that's what I was going to say.
Even in the client, they have like Premier, they have all the tickets, right? Where it's like Premier, Pro, Amateur, whatever.
Yeah.
In the Premier tickets, I still don't know, like, is this a tournament that I want to watch, or like the teams that I care about there?
Right.
You know, like, I just don't know. I kind of have to wait for a cultural swell of like, oh, this is the one we're all watching to happen on Twitter, or
which is what Evo is for me for fighting games. So I'll occasionally jump on and
when
just
Evo
watch
shows up,
whatever.
you're like, oh, Evo's happening.
Yeah, it's the international for fighting games, right?
Yeah.
But and StarCraft didn't have that problem when it started. It had one league that was mega popular, and you just watched that, and that's why I enjoyed it. And I fell off as it sort of stratified and became, you know, there's this European thing over here, and then a lot of the players left Korea because there was a new WCS like rule that
every sport has a history, except really Major League Baseball has a history of it too, but it's older, so I don't actually know it, but every professional physical sport has a history of like stratified leagues that are competing for eyeballs and competing for athletes and things like this.
Yeah.
And then eventually they homogenize down, which is probably better for the consumer, kind of, but also like diabolical.
Yeah.
You know,
They're monopolies.
Yeah, they're strange. Like if teams had to codify via their geographic location.
So,
I was reading about the
Blizzard has been trying to do that. Like, Blizzard's been trying to do that with StarCraft, and what happens is
That's funny because StarCraft's a single player experience. I mean, I guess it's 2-player, but I mean, a Dota team has 6 people on it.
Oh, there's still StarCraft teams, but that's not
still the concept of a team.
Yeah, but that's not. That's the less relevant part as compared to just like what league are you going to play in? And this for the purpose of this argument, which is that. What happened was a bunch of Korean players, like high-level Korean players, would just move to Europe or to North America or something to be in basically an easier market. Like they would just establish residency in a different country so that they could play in a league that is going to be slightly less competitive.
I think that was actually
it's like Allen
institutionalized,
Iverson going to China to play basketball.
They've actually made them do that. The way that WCS works now is really strange. I think they actually they've taken the talent and said you're now in the North American League.
Well, now what I don't think they made those calls. I think what they did was Blizzard said you
have to
now
stay there
have
and
to declare
there.
it once,
right?
And that's it.
That's what I mean. I guess that's what I mean.
Yeah.
So
they're trying.
It's institutionalized.
Yeah.
They did a fighting game with the Dota heroes.
Yeah, it's like I would probably get into kart racing games if they took the characters from Smash Brothers and put them in like a kart racer.
It's a great idea.
What if you just kind of like explored a world with like one or two?
What
of
if you
them?
took one of
kind
them
of jumped
kind of like a
around
maze?
and like it was kind of like a maze that you had to navigate, or like I don't know, like maybe jump over things and stuff.
That would be pretty fascinating. What if you put them in some like anime-y sort of RPG thing? I don't think I'd play that. I'd also be really confused by why they're all in Smash Brothers now. It would make me feel old, I think.
Justin J. Jund writes,
Triple J.
Hey, Thumbs. The discussion last week about Meteos, this must have been more than a week
This is
ago,
2 weeks
I guess.
ago?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago. The discussion about Meteos, Clacks, and other games that kept you up at night reminded me of a phenomenon that has plagued me for many years. When I'm really engrossed in a puzzle game or any game that uses symbolic representation of an objective, like Rock Band, I tend to see the shapes and puzzles well after I'm done playing. Moreover, I tend to dream about the game or have close-eyed visuals for days after playing it if I've spent enough time with it. I'm not sure if there's a proper title for this, but I suppose it would be some form of object permanence that I experience. My first recollection for this phenomenon came from playing Tetris Attack for the Super Nintendo, and it would drive me crazy until I just had to sit down and play it again. I'm just curious if any of you have experienced such a thing, and if so, which games hit you the hardest? Cheers, Justin June. P.S. Rapid City, South Dakotan here, so I always feel warm and fuzzy when you guys talk about being from Wyoming, our windier sister from the West. You can understand why I'm excited for Firewatch.
I've been to Rapid City. I was playing one-on-one basketball with my dad in the rain in a crappy hotel, and he slipped and broke his kneecap, and I had to push him in a wheelchair till we got home to Wyoming.
Ouch.
The end.
You pushed him all the way to Wyoming?
Well, I mean, we drove from Rapid City back to Cody, past Devil's Tower. Close Encounters. Pretty sick.
Both of you guys reacted to Tetris Attack.
Oh, Tetris Attack's a great game. One of the greats. It's true. It says it on the cartridge. No, that doesn't happen to
People who
me.
can't tell us apart, that was just a mind
Not helpful.
fuck.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's true, Jake.
Oh, fuck you.
No, I mean, I think that the first time that I heard about this happening a lot was when everyone was playing Tetris on the NES and the Game Boy. I go to sleep and I'm still playing Tetris.
I think they had commercials to that effect as well.
Oh my god! In the grand style of video game commercials, accidentally talking about how horrible they are as a way to sell you on how good they are.
Yeah, yep.
You can't stop playing. Your brain's just obsessed with it. You can't even sleep because Tetris blocks are falling all the time.
Yeah.
Oh, gross.
I mean, I think that was the case. And I think there was one with like parents who, this is another classic 90s thing, like a kid filmed with like a super low FOV lens, and then the parents are like, he can't stop playing that Tetris. And they're like, oh no. And they're like weird 90s parents with crazy glasses and stuff.
Right, yeah. They're just like their
Moms that had big
costumes
glasses
evoke.
retainer.
Yeah, right. Yeah.
Yeah.
It looks like they're shot with a fisheye lens, even if they're not, because their
right.
costumes and hair are so ostentatious.
Yes, right, exactly, yeah.
Yeah, you know what's funny? I was actually, this happened to me, I played a lot of Dota the other night, and it happened to me then, just sort of like going to bed and can't get the sort of like rhythms of the game out of my head, or the AV or whatever. And it definitely happened with Meteos. I played a ton of that game. Tetris Attack.
I played so much media.
Those two are the two that come to mind, but it's also because
they
they've
make
been
your brain-
reminded of me, right?
The staying behind your eyes.
Oh, Geometry Wars. Real bad. But as I got older and like put more life stuff on my plate, the sensation of that actually induced panic. And it happened like literally it happened Monday night, or one night recently, where I just was like laying in bed and I'm like, oh, I'm having a panic attack. But like I'm just basically like fast scrubbing through 5 seconds of a Dota match. It's like, and it was just over and over and over, and I couldn't break out of that loop until I was like, gonna get up, get a glass of water, like just like,
Reset sensory input, like do something.
do a push up, like whatever, like just do anything to like, okay, and it was fine. But like, it's as opposed to being a phenomenon, it's become in the past, I don't know, 5 to 10 years of my life, as between 20 and 30 is actually like not pleasurable. It's actually really stressful. thinking about it right now.
I mean, I think it was never pleasurable, but it was benign at least.
Yeah, no,
Right,
it's like
yeah.
it was like it's like a weird trigger. I don't like it. But I still play games before I go to sleep.
I don't think I've gotten that recently. I remember that this isn't really the same thing as what he's describing, I guess. But
You guys talking about Katamari?
Yeah, when I played Katamari, that game was in my brain all the time, just constantly. It was really bad. I would just imagine it everywhere. I would imagine it existing.
We've talked about this
You
multiple
would
times.
see things on a table and you'd imagine the sensation.
No.
of gathering
It's
them
you're in
all.
the car
No,
and you're
in the
like, I can
car.
roll up those lampposts.
Yeah, the lampposts. I've talked about this on Thumbs I know years ago, but like the lampposts were the big one because in that game, when you see like a half mile
Perfect roll, you're like, this is going to be the most delicious thing.
Like, oh my god, this is going to be so good because they have so little mass,
Right.
so they're not hard to pick up, but they're really long. So if you collect the
Lots
whole
of
string
surface
of them,
area.
And
No mass.
also,
Yeah.
things in a row in Katamari because they go boo 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 as you get them. It's just like this, like just rhythmic
Yeah, the
success
ka-chunk,
pickup
ka-chunk,
sound,
ka-chunk.
and
Yeah.
the game gets
Yeah.
way more hilarious.
and I would be in the car driving along the freeway in Southern California, and I would just glance to my right, and there's just like
Right.
40 lampposts,
Or
right
like- or like a
oh
row
my god,
of,
I could just swerve right into
palm
these
trees
things.
or whatever.
In the
That's the if the thing where you're like the last image you see in your brain is retained in your eyes, if that like applied to things you were imagining and not just things you were seeing, that would be a disastrous like discovery. If you're the guy whose car is wrapped around the lamppost, and then they inspect your retinas or whatever, and it's like, well, not going to tell anyone, tell his family about this one. Just disgraceful.
That was a Play It Loud magazine ad. It was just a zoom in on your eyeball, and then in the reflection,
a wrecked car and a guy
and
a wrecked car, but then inside
Just-
of his
yeah.
brain, he's still playing Katamari.
Oh no!
his half brain.
What was that? Toast him.
Half brain. Yeah.
I think
thanks.
you were about to say something, Sean.
No, I was going to say thanks, readers,
Oh.
for the great reader mail. Unless you were going to go back to the well. You had to look like the well was empty.
Yeah, I mean, there's plenty left in the well, but I would have to dig it out.
I
with
would
a
say,
bucket.
readers, please put more sensational questions into the well. We love them.
Where's the well?
What is the well?
You can send them to questions@idlethumbs.net, and the well will go up by 1 water ounce bucket.
We're also on
Love
Twitter
America.
at Idle Thumbs and Facebook at facebook.com/idlethumbs. And also, also our store sale is still going on. If you go to store.idlethumbs.net and you
Use the
check
offer
out,
code.
yeah, use the offer code COLDBLOOM, COLDBLUM, on a cart of $30 or more, you get 20% off.
We'll probably be running that for a little while.
We'll leave that on for a little while. 'cause
An
it's-
easy
definitely
example
during
of
the
that
holidays.
is a T-shirt and a cold bloom.
yeah, that's been a popular choice.
$31.
That gets you up to 31. Weird that that's what it does.
But yeah. And this is kind of big news. We've never done this before. Well, technically we kind of did this for a moment because we had Luke. But we are
Canceling the podcast.
okay. We did that
We did that a few times.
We've done that a couple times, yeah.
because of somebody in this room, Patrick Klepek. Wow. We are on the hunt for an intern. So you can go to idlethumbs.net/intern to apply, but don't do so unless you live within like reasonable commute distance of our office, which is in the Potrero Hill Flats neighborhood of San Francisco, California. Because we can't work with you if you
You'll
don't
have to
live there.
probably
Also,
drive
you
around and
probably don't want to move to be our intern. So yeah, and
It's paid, but it's, it's
not-
it's an internship.
It exists in the city of San Francisco, and it's paid in intern rates. So
yeah, the rates and everything are on the application, so
Yes.
you can check that out.
Yeah, go to
it's-
idlethumbs.net/intern. If you live in the Bay Area and you clearly listen to at least one of our podcasts, if you're hearing this now, and you think you have skills that would be helpful to us, if you just go through this like Google form we have set up, it'll just ask you some questions. You should do so, or tell a friend if you think they would fit these requirements. And we're going to be, I guess, just probably accepting applications for like a week or so, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, we'll leave it open for a little while. We'll probably leave it open until we find somebody, to be honest.
Yeah, that's true.
So yeah, that's idlethumbs.net/intern, and we hope to hear from you if you're awesome. It's part-time. That's on there as well. But like, this isn't like you're not gonna be able to support your life.
No, this
in
is
the Bay
like-
Area with this job.
help us out a little bit during the week.
Yeah, cool. Thanks, guys.
All right.
Oh, thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Sean.
Thanks, Nick.
Congrats, Nick.
Fuck Nick.
No.
Thanks, Chris.
Congrats. I said the wrong thing.
This is 2014, the year of congrats, Nick. 2015, the year of the PS3 is on the horizon, and Nick does not really fit into that equation. God, we're so close to our PlayStation 3's potential being realized.
Oh, it's true.
We gotta.
What if every PS3 in the world at midnight on December 31st
Just turns on.
just turns on, and then just like its shell starts to crack and break
Right.
and snap open, and it's just a PS4 inside.
A PS5 comes out.
Oh my god!
Twist.
Yeah.
The true potential of the PlayStation 3. It's not the PlayStation 4.
Oh my god, so owned. You bought a PlayStation 4.
Just a Vita 2 comes out, because that's obviously what...
It's a PlayStation. No, PlayStation TV is in there.
What? Oh.
Yeah. And it's like, oh, you wanted to watch...
Oh, sorry. 2015 is when the true potential of the PSP platform is reached.
Yeah.
Well, you're...
So the website yearoftheps3.info, an Idle Thumbs reader made this, in 2008 or something?
Yeah.
It was a long time ago that this was made, 6 years ago or so that this was made. And it has been the
been
entire
counting down the
time.
seconds.
It's been counting down, to 2015 in seconds. And so the thing I see this website like a couple times a year, right? Not that often. But the thing that's interesting about it to my brain is that every single time I've ever seen this website, going back 6 years, the number of seconds that are left is just a number that's too high for my brain to do anything with. That was true in 2008, and it is still true right now because it's just it's in seconds.
That said, we're down to 2,500,000 seconds.
Right, but it's still but you still just, when you glance at the website, you're just like, oh, it's just an impossibly huge number. That is so. After 6 years of this number just being an incomprehensibly huge number of seconds, suddenly, like in a few weeks from now, this is going to get down to be like under 100,000 seconds, then under 10,000 seconds, then under 1,000 seconds, then under 100
Oh,
seconds.
it's going to be 0 seconds at one point, Chris.
Yeah.
And then our PS3s are going to be good.
And then the clock starts.
Then the clock
Starts on, hurry up, devs.
yeah, then it changes down to the number of seconds left in exactly 1 year. And
Right.
that's the amount of time that lazy devs have
Yeah.
to squeeze the full power out of the PS3
Yeah.
now that it is available.
What if Sony puts out a firmware update on January 1st,
Oh my god.
2015 for the PlayStation 3 that's like new optimized blah, blah, blah.
New cores.
4 of
We
our
optimized your
processors now are...
SPUs.
Yeah.
Right.
SPUs.
RAM expansion pack.
To give context for people who haven't been listening to this stupid podcast for 6 years, who was it? Was it Kaz Hirai?
I think it was Kazurai.
Yeah.
A Sony executive years ago.
Yeah, it wasn't Kutaragi. It was because
I don't think it was. I can't remember though for sure.
It may have been Kutaragi.
Made the claim that, like the PS2 and the PS1, the PS3 would have a 10-year development cycle. So it would exist for a full decade, and over that decade, developers would continue. It's such a complex, powerful machine that developers would continue to learn new things about it and continue to be able to gain additional performance benefit out of this machine for the duration of its life cycle. So we took that to mean that in 2015, 10 years
I thought
after
that he straight up said that. Did he not? I thought the quote was like, in this year...
it might have been. I don't remember the
Man,
specific
I don't remember
words,
the details,
but
but it's fine.
But yeah, the implication, or possibly the direct statement, was that in 2015, developers would finally have fully comprehended the awesome power of this machine. And so someone made us a website for it at yearoftheps3.info, which has been counting down to that auspicious year ever since.
It's true.
Yep.
Thanks, readers.
Goodbye.
I drank a beer out of a cold one this weekend.
Nice.
It was really good. Tastes better. Oh my god, I actually drank a beer out of a cold one while watching Jurassic Park.
Oh, shit. You did it.
I can't believe you didn't Vine or tweet that.
I was too enthralled. 2 to the chest, 1 to the head of 8-player Smash on the 187 of podcasts. Do not put that on the podcast. I refuse to sound that stupid on a public forum.
Please do that
Please don't.
instead of to some
Chris,
dubstep or something.
please don't.
Just
Please.
have it launch right into the podcast.
Please.
Someone please, anyone
please have
listening,
mercy,
please
mercy,
make a YouTube
mercy.
video out of this.
Mercy, Chris. Please. God, no. I love America.